Hi, I'm Isabel Jandro, and I'm here today with Mr. and Mrs. David and Sandy Perloff, who are here today visiting projects they've supported in our school systems. So thank you both for coming.
It's always fun to come up to Madawaska.
Thank you, Isabel.
That's good. So although our teachers and students are pretty familiar with you, our studio audience may not be. So would you like to tell us a little bit about yourselves?
You want to start?
Well, I have a technical background. I actually have 2 degrees in physics. Started 2 companies in Silicon Valley. And for the last 18 years, we've been doing philanthropic work and particularly providing grants to schools like Madawaska.
And my background was as a nurse, but when I became a mother, then I became a mother. And I've been a mother ever since. That has not changed. When we started doing the grants, I like to say my policy was that he made a lot of money, so he should be able to decide where it goes. But I do get to help him spend it.
So can you tell us what led you to support public schools the way that you have?
I'll answer that.
Go ahead, please.
We both strongly believe in public education. We both came through public education system, and we wanted to give something back. Now you can ask.
So the giving back to us was being able to work with teachers, provide the support they needed to be successful. And it seems to have worked out because we've been doing this now for, about 18 years.
Sounds right.
Wow.
And we love doing it in Maine.
So are there any areas of education that you're more passionate about supporting than others, or?
You can start.
Well, I'm guessing Sandy is going to talk about supporting musical programs. I'll talk about supporting STEM, science, technology, education, and math. Since that's my background, I'm particularly interested in seeing students be given the opportunity to get experience in school at all grade levels, which might give them new career opportunities.
And I'm here to make sure that isn't all that he does. Although I also am firmly committed to both STEAM and STEM. We've recently added more art things in with it. But I also love to see the music and PE sorts of things and the unusual projects. One of my favorites was a quilting project a lot of years ago. It was called Math in high school. Kids signed up for it figuring easy math credit. You have never seen as much math as happened in that quilting class. So I love those kinds of projects that are just different.
Yeah, so as funding levels for public schools continue to be challenged, what role do you see philanthropy playing to fill the voids, and do you have any specific examples you could share about that?
Well, we invite teachers to submit applications to support programs in their schools, and it's very clear that if we don't step up and provide that support, of course we want to be sure their projects make sense, that they can complete them effectively. We're pretty confident there won't be any other sources of funding. So we think it's important to use our resources to remove those barriers.
Oh,
how important do you feel it is for people like you to be involved, like hands-on like you are today in schools, in the distribution of funding? So from your perspective, what difference do you think it makes?
I think the hands-on is really what makes a difference for our group. We walk into classrooms, you never quite know what you're going to see, and sometimes there'll be a scramble of activity. Somebody knows you're coming. And we find areas where people are just superstars that you would never have dreamt that this guy was going to turn into let's say a 3D printer superstar. In Brooksville, never in a million years. So the hands-on part is really the most important part, I think.
Well, the way I would answer that is that visiting schools really informs us as to whether we make good decisions and whether there might be opportunities for what a particular teacher is doing to be followed through in other parts of the state. So we'll also do outreach, and we particularly do that with 3D printing, where we like to offer those opportunities, and interestingly, many teachers are taking us up.
Not just in other parts of the state, but very often we'll say to a teacher when we're in there, do you need something else? Do you have enough? And so a lot will happen within a school that we're already in.
Good. So how important will technology, for example, STEM, do you think that'll be preparing students for their futures?
Well, I happen to put it as a very, very important thing for students to have the career opportunities and start that process early on. And actually, we're supporting schools in kindergarten that programs that you can see will directly benefit in terms of coding, hands-on learning that will lead to jobs in the future. And Maine is short of technically qualified individuals, so we feel we're covering that, helping to cover that need as well.
I agree.
Agree. So before we close, are there any final comments you two would like to make? Or
Well, I just like to say that something that we perhaps didn't point out, but we live half of the time we're in California, and we're right in the middle of Silicon Valley. Doing grant making in Maine is easy and a great pleasure. Doing it in Silicon Valley is extremely difficult. And the reason I think we've been successful, and one of the reasons we love coming back to Madawaska, is that we can deal directly with teachers. Administration is supportive. We don't have to go through an endless cycle of justification. And so we're doing probably 98% of our grant making in Maine and very little in California because it's so much more fun to do it here.
good. So I would like to thank you both for all the support you've given the schools on behalf of the school, and also congratulations for winning the Distinguished Service Award and through the Maine School Board Association this past winter. So I know Madawaska is very proud to see you guys get that award. So thank you once again for coming, and hope you enjoy your time here.
We
Thank
do.
you, Isabel.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.